Hi, glad you could join us. I'm Annette Sherman. This is Community. When we were thinking about moving out of New York, my husband did a business trip. It included, he had never been to Sarasota and St. Petersburg. And he called me on the phone. At that time, we were searching for places, for a place that we would enjoy living in. He called me, he said, I think I found the place. I said, no, you didn't. You're calling from Florida, aren't you? He said, yeah, but you haven't seen this part of Florida yet. It has all the arts that you love. It has theater. It has a school that teaches nothing but art and design. It has over and over symphony, ballet, everything you love. You know something? He was right. And we got here, and I still haven't gotten my fill of the wonderful arts and entertainment that our community offers. But I do have people who are in charge and seeing to it that I have them as guests on my program, seeing to it that those wonderful arts and entertainment continue and that they're supported properly and that people know about the fact that our community is such a strong arts and entertainment lover. My special guest today is Jim Shirley. Jim Shirley is the Arts and Cultural Alliance Executive Director. And you say, well, what does he have to? He has to see to the fact that everyone is aware of our wonderful, would you say that's your job description,
I'd
Jim?
say that's a big part of it, Annette, and it's a real pleasure to be here today because I can tell more people about it.
But how would you describe, if someone asks you, what do you do?
What I do is, as Executive Director of the Arts and Cultural Alliance, we work with all of the wonderful arts and cultural organizations, artists, teachers, other people in the community who are involved in the arts to make sure that the arts are available to everyone in our community and that we're doing everything we can to help promote those arts, not only in the community but outside the community, which continues to attract tourists. It continues to attract other artists who come here and live. So we want to make our community, we're kind of the glue that holds it all together. We want to make the community friendly for the arts and make sure that the arts are available to everyone.
I'm going to talk about your background in a minute, but I want to underscore what Jim said, and that is that somebody needs, not just somebody, it's somebody who organizes the needs of the arts organizations and sees to it that there's proper funding, there's proper understanding, they're the kind of thing that is required if we want to continue as the community that we are. And it used to be the Arts and Culture, the Arts Council.
Right.
When I first started to, when I first moved here, and I joined the Arts Council, if I remember correctly, went to several meetings and thought it was a wonderful organization, and then got just too busy to be involved in it as I'd like to have been. But at that point, before we talk about the Arts and Cultural Alliance, let's talk about Jim Shirley. Where are you from?
I grew up in Arkansas, and my family and I have lived all over the country over the years, but we, for the last 40 plus years, have had an attachment to Sarasota. We came down for many of the same reasons you did, but we would always go back to somewhere else for many years. But we bought a home down here back in the 70s, and we would always find a way to come here at least part of every year to spend some time in this beautiful place and to take part of the arts and the fishing and all those things that we love down here.
It seems to be almost everybody's same refrain, that they loved, of course, the beaches are beautiful, and the places, the climate is wonderful, but those the wonderful ballet, the wonderful opera, the wonderful theater, that is really the glue.
It is. It absolutely is. And when you talk to people, which I do around the state a lot, whether I'm in Tallahassee with the legislature or doing business around the state, there are very few people that do not acknowledge that Sarasota is the cultural mecca of Florida.
No,
even
I
even
think
if they
most
live
everybody
in
does.
Miami or Orlando, they know that this is a special place.
It is a special place, and it has special people that support it and support the arts. You work, and we're going to double back and get some of the detail, but I know each year that I can recall, you do, it's a sort of a survey, but it's a far more intricate. And you name it, The Arts Mean Business.
Correct.
Tell about that.
Well, one of the things that's important for a community to understand, it's nice to be entertained, but if you're going to be a viable member of a community, a participating part of it, you need to make a contribution just beyond entertainment. And we take it, one of the jobs that we have at the Arts and Cultural Alliance is to clearly establish factually what is the impact of the arts on the economy in Sarasota.
And people don't realize, it's amazing. I remember the first time you came on years ago. How many years have you been doing that survey?
Well, we've actually been doing the survey about 15 years now.
I think you were on my program, and I don't remember, it was television then. I started to think it was radio, but it was television.
It was television.
Then. And I was astounded the money that is brought into our community, the support that our community receives from the arts. And that's kind of a wonderful, it's like saying if you eat ice cream and cake, it's very healthy for you. But it's not. but here we have these wonderful, wonderful opportunities for people to experience the arts, and it's all very monetarily healthy.
Absolutely. Let me give you a couple of examples.
Please.
For example, we know that the nonprofit arts and cultural organizations in Sarasota County, not the for-profit galleries and so on, but the nonprofit organizations in our most recent survey employ over 7,400 people full-time in arts and culture.
Almost unbelievable, Jim.
Unbelievable. Well, and what that means is even those are individual organizations, if you take them as a whole, they may be the largest employer in Sarasota County. Certainly larger than the hospital, larger than the government. That means that all of these people who are working in the theater, in the opera, in the art galleries, many of them own homes. Many of them, they all buy clothes here, they buy food here. And actually the arts, the nonprofit arts and cultural organizations in Sarasota County alone spend just under $300 million every year buying goods and services from other businesses in the community. Think about that. I mean, that is a major impact. And then you look at, well, what brings our tourists here? And we know that factually every single year, over 2.5 million people buy tickets for and attend theater, opera, gallery, they go to shows.
The arts.
50% of them are from out of town. So you've got, now that doesn't mean that we have 1 million, 2 distinct visitors, but it means that when they come here, they participate in the arts.
And a lot of people come here because of.
Absolutely.
I know that I will get calls or emails. When does the opera season start exactly?
Right.
I mean, they could communicate with the opera if they need to, but then they want to know other things. And then they base their trip to Sarasota to arrive before that happens and get their tickets and make sure they get their tickets. Now, there's so much to that, and I commend you on it because it is such a brilliant course of action to put a spotlight on something that people don't even think about when they, I want to go to the theater, I want to see a ballet, or I want to whatever. But they don't realize what you were just talking about, the actual effect monetarily that it has on the wealth and well-being of our community. I'm going to ask, Damon, please, would you put that telephone number and website on the screen, please? And so people have that and you can make note of it. We'll leave it on the screen a little while. because in my conversation with Jim Shirley, before we went on the air, I asked him what he would like my viewers to do. And he said, well, we always need support. Tell your answer that you gave me.
Thank you. By and large, it was definitely the Arts and Cultural Alliance, being the umbrella organization for the arts, is a membership organization. You know, we do not produce shows, we do not have, we don't do that sort of thing, but we provide services to the arts and cultural community. And the biggest single service that we offer is advocacy. I can go to our political community, our business community, as the spokesman for all of the arts and have influence based on that. Well, if I go and talk about not only my opinion, but my 5,000 members who are also voters.
Then you're powerful.
And it's the power, it's the political power. So it's really important that our listeners, that everybody in our community join the Arts and Cultural Alliance as a member. You can do that as inexpensively as $50 a year.
What do they get for it? It's only $50, so that's not a lot over a year.
They get the membership in the arts to make their voice heard for the arts. They get access to, we have several different programs that we do every year. They get first-rate access to those
I shouldn't
programs.
ask. What is it? It was John Kennedy, don't ask what your country can do, ask what you can do for you. It's that kind of thing, because the $50 that they give once a year for membership will be used in ways that will help the opera and the ballet and theaters to remain here, to be here, and give them support in all the areas that you were talking about.
You bet.
So that, put that on the screen again, please, Damon, so people know. And I would urge you, rather than calling the phone number when it comes on the screen, we'll talk about it, to call to get in touch at the website. And the reason I say that is because if you call the phone number, if you don't call during business hours, obviously you'll either get a machine or no one will answer. But if you can call, if you wake up at 3 in the morning and say, you know, I was thinking about that program that Annette Sherman had and that Jim Shirley was talking, and I really want to make a donation, I really want to become a member, do it then and there at 2 o'clock in the morning by contacting the website.
Yes, there's a very prominent button on that front page that says join, become a member. All you have to do is touch that button and it'll take care of it for you.
Okay, so you feel good about it because you are supporting the arts in our community. Let's talk a bit about some of the other things that the survey that you take.
Right.
Now, how is that taken? How is that done?
What we do literally is the Arts and Cultural Alliance coordinates with Americans for the Arts, which is the national advocacy organization for the arts, and we help collect all of the data for Sarasota County. And the way we do that is we have certain surveys that we send out to the theaters.
Written surveys.
The surveys that they take from their customers as they walk in the door at the theater, at the opera, at the art gallery. So it's true hard information that people who are going to these events fill out. Then the organization does a large input to that survey.
They're pretty thorough there,
oh yes,
Jim.
About their budget, the number of people that work for them, how their taxes operate, etc. So that we're getting a really clear snapshot of what the numbers really are.
I think that's fabulous, and I think that my opinion is only underscoring the success of these surveys, because I know it do have a very, very hard wallop.
Yes.
And people, I know that they each year, and I see them, and I don't believe what I'm reading, but I know that I should believe what I'm reading because it's accurate. And last year it wasn't that distant. It wasn't that far away from the statistics that I'm reading now.
Correct.
You mentioned some figures. I'd like you to mention them again. How much do the arts bring to our community?
Well, as far as direct spend, nearly $300 million every year are spent by the nonprofit arts and cultural organizations.
Spent by the organizations. What does that mean?
That means that they buy plumbing services, they buy computer services, they do marketing work in the community, they buy advertising services. They buy apartments.
They're
in some
spending
cases.
money
They're
to
spending
continue
money
what they're doing.
to continue
It has
their
nothing to
work.
do with the money that comes in. They need to spend that money.
That
and they
is
spend
correct.
the money, and they're good customers.
That
good
is correct.
customers for our community.
That's
okay?
right. Well, you think about it, all of their employees are members of our community.
Yeah.
One of the biggest missions that the Arts and Cultural Alliance has is to continue to work with the school system of Sarasota County to make sure that the arts are not cut from our schools. So if you want to look at economic development and what's going to bring a company here, if you've got a beautiful community that has a lively, vibrant arts organization and excellent schools where the arts are part of it, you're adding to the package. So if I'm looking at where am I going to bring my families for my company in Indiana or Kentucky, and I want to move that company somewhere, I'm going to look at a community like a Sarasota, Florida, because they have all of that, and they have one of the top 2 school systems in the state of Florida, which the arts add dramatically to. So it's that type of work. You don't realize the indirect impact that industries have on full communities. And in our community, the arts have an inordinately large impact on everything in this community.
Yes, and it goes on. The list goes on in
It
so
does.
many ways because the arts organization itself, as you mentioned, spends money for various things, and also rents or owns a building that is functional in what they're doing, and so much. But all of this, I think, before Jim Shirley came aboard, which is how long have you been part of this?
This is almost my 10th year. It's been nine plus years now.
We're not aware of, maybe somewhere in the back of our minds or hearts, it's possible, it probably is so. But now you've proven it year after year, for 14 years you said, that not only is it possible and probable, it is so. So if you want this information, let's go back and put that number on the screen again, please, Damon. The number to call, and you can find out where you can get the information itself if you'd like to look at the statistics. And they can do that.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, our website gets over 8,000 hits a day from all over the world for the reason you mentioned a little earlier. On one hand, people who are coming here from Kentucky or Wyoming or wherever they're coming from to see what's happening in the arts, but then also people who are looking at doing research about impact, research about the school system. All kinds of things are on that website because it's meant to be able to support all of the arts. So I would encourage people to visit sarasotaarts.org, and if you have questions beyond that, call us. We'd love to work with you on it.
Okay. We are constantly aware, I am here because, and I mentioned this earlier, I don't know if we were on the air at the time, that I will get calls from people or emails saying, can you tell me when they can contact the opera directly if they wanted to, but they wanted usually want a couple of openings, when the Oslo starts their season, when the opera starts their season, because they want to time their trip to Sarasota, their stay, whatever it's going to be. Maybe it's just going to be 3 or 4 weeks or a shorter time. And they want to get their tickets, make sure they have their tickets first. It's not a bad idea to do. I remember I was asked hired actually, to respond. This is about, maybe 10 years ago or more, to an organization who was thinking about moving one of their offices and facilities to another place.
Right.
And they had heard something about Sarasota, and they had seen the program while they were here, and they thought that I might know. Well, I don't have statistics for them, but I did know what you're talking about, the arts and culture of our community. And when we did it, we typed it up, and I said, I think every once in a while I want to add to that information. Did I mention the beaches?
Right.
So we would talk about the Ringling College of Art and Design. If there are students, youngsters, children, offsprings of their people, of their executives who were interested in that, or theater, commercial, professional theater, or community theater. And did we mention the beaches? But and they did move here, and that was a long time ago. And I don't want to name the company, but that was a fun thing to do. It was a fun project for us. The schools were rated very well. Right. And that arts and culture thing in the letter, the thank you letter I received, they said that pushed them over the top. That's
terrific. And that happens a lot. I hear that story a lot. But to give you another little fact on the impact, one of the things that we know is that the cultural tourist, the tourist that comes here specifically to partake in the arts along with everything else, spends about 40% more money while they're here than the typical tourist who does not participate in the arts. So if I'm a family and just go to the beach, I'm going to spend money here. If I'm a family or a person that comes here, goes to the beach, goes to the opera, goes to the theater, I'm spending a lot more money with our local businesses while I'm here. So that's, that is an impact in its own right, is to be able to attract that type of tourist.
The average person thinks it's the other way around.
Right.
That it costs the community, and it doesn't. It obviously, I don't know if the camera was on Jim, because when he said no, he just closed his eyes and said no. Absolutely not. It's the reverse.
Yes.
So that it is a wonderful profit-making kind of activity for us, and it's something we're so proud of, and it's something we do so well.
Right.
Again, before we're almost out of time, I want to suggest that people watching, if you are interested in what we're talking about and you want to continue seeing or want this organization to continue, now they don't hang on a thread, but if you want to support them and if you want to become part and get their information and they have events that happen, and I know you have a Van Wezel event. It's just delightful.
Yes.
We have all these arts organizations coming out to support what you do.
Correct.
When is that? What time of the year?
That is typically the last Monday in October each year. And we call it the celebration of the arts.
The what?
The celebration of the arts. And why we do that is, first of all, it's free and open to the public. We want people to come and find out who are the leaders, who are the artistic leaders, who are the philanthropic leaders, who are the people that help make the arts what it is. So in a way, it's a little bit like an Academy Awards, but there are usually 3 to 4 performances that go on. And our wonderful organizations support that by being there for those performances.
And you know, Jim, you get I was going to say sold out, but you're not sold out because it's free. I mean, it's not sold out. And the people are shelling out ticket money. People come out to see what's happening with the arts. People come out who are new in the community. People come out, I've seen faces there that I've known for 30 years. I've been here almost 40. So that they are very, very, very interested in the arts and very, very interested in their community. And for that community, I thank you for the wonderful professional job that you do in protecting and supporting and giving information out about our arts community, arts and culture, really, community. So long may you wave, and long may our wonderful community wave. And we're just about out of time, just enough time to remind you that another interesting, very interesting aspect of our community, that is the Community Video Archives that brings you this program, among other things. We'll have our annual event, that is our Hall of Fame luncheon, and that's April the 16th at Michael's on East. And it usually is a very interesting, exciting, and maybe even, well, certainly smiles producing, but tear producing, because people can get very emotional about being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Because with that designation, and you're on a list, so we'll get to you and have you one of our Hall of Famers. But it's a wonderful opportunity for people who have given so much. So many of them are just go about their job, as our guest today, because goes about his job and loves the work that he does.
I do.
And loves doing it. But in loving it, he does a superb job, and his ability allows him to do a superb job. So what we do with people like our guest today is to induct them into our Hall of Fame. And with that induction, we professionally produce, a video biography of his life that goes into every Sarasota County Public Library and the Library of Congress, which means it will live forever. So your day will come, not in the distant future either. Remember to call or just reach the website any time of the day or night. Become a member. It's only $50, and you're supporting all the arts and the organization that helps you support the arts. Thank you so much for being with us today, and long may you wave. We have just a few moments. What is coming up now? Just about a minute. What is coming up now? We're taping this in the beginning of, well, December for the sake of discussion.
Well, there's always a lot coming up in the arts, but one of the things going on right now is a big project in the community to look at building an art space project. And of course, we have the ongoing project of the Bayfront 2020, or the Bay.
Yes, and you're working on that as well.
We're working on that as well, and that's a part of our job. We have a couple of big events coming up. We have monthly art exhibits at our offices and our galleries. So there's always something happening. I encourage people to visit sarasotaarts.org, and they can find out all the things going on.
sarasotaarts.org is what you want to do, and as I suggested before, rather than calling, because you can reach the website at any time, the day or night, or if you want to call during the day, call during business hours. And the nice part of it is, this gentleman is always easy to get. I don't mean easy, but you're available. And that's wonderful, and that is wonderful. And with time is up, and that's not wonderful. What is having you as my guest today. Thank you so much for being with us. It was a delight.
It's been my pleasure, Annette, and thank you for having me.
The time really flew. We bid you adieu from Community. If you want to know why we love it here, so check out Community. Well, it's a who's who, a what's, when and where show. It's a mover and shakers who